Hello, I'm Tim Smith with the Adams County Historical Society. If you like the historical content we've been putting on YouTube and Facebook, please hit the like button and the subscribe button to see more of our channel. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about James Gettys, the founder of the town. Now, you may know that in our new museum, Beyond the Battle, we are highlighting James Gettys's Tavern. We'll have one section of the museum set up as a historic tavern, and we'll talk a little bit about the colonial era in Gettysburg. Now, I should mention, starting off, that Samuel Gettys was an early settler here in the Marsh Creek settlement. And we know he was here by 1761. We are not sure exactly when he first arrived. You might notice that Samuel's son James was born in August of 1759. We will have the Gettys family Bible on display in our exhibit. And I point this out, his date of birth, because we're not sure if he was born somewhere else in Pennsylvania. Perhaps the family lived in Lancaster County for a while, or if he was born here in the place where he founded this town in 1786. The first thing I want to talk about is James Gettys. We know descendants of James Gettys. We are in contact with some of them. Some of them live in Tennessee. Part of the family lives in Las Vegas. James's brother William has descendants that are alive in North Carolina, and we've spoken to them, and all of them agree that the name is Gettys. And so this is probably Gettysburg. But if you still say Gettysburg, it's no big deal. It's just people like to argue about how it is the name of our town should be pronounced. Now, James married Mary Todd Gettys, and of course, he laid out the town in 1785, offered lots for sale in 1786. So we say that's the birthday of our town. It became the county seat of Adams County in 1800. In 1806, it became an incorporated borough. You might notice that James Gettys died in March 13th, 1815. His wife died on March 17th, 1815, and I think his mother died around the same week. Apparently, there was a disease that spread through the area and claimed many people in our area at that time, and a few of James Gettys's family. Now, he had a son, James Gettys Jr., that eventually moved to Tennessee. And like I said, there are descendants of that line of the family that are still alive. Another of James's son is actually buried back here behind him. I should mention that originally, these stones were in Upper Marsh Creek Cemetery, which is located up the Mummersburg Road off of Belmont Road. And in 1865, I believe it was, James Gettys Jr. came back to Gettysburg and had his family's graves moved to the Evergreen Cemetery, which had been established in 1854. And when they moved these original stone, or they moved this stone, and they had this more modern stone put up to his father. So this stone probably dates from like 1865. But his brother's grave is the original stone that was up in the Upper Marsh Creek Cemetery. Robert died, I believe, it's kind of hard to read, in 1827. And what's really interesting is the poem on the grave. And so I'll read it to you. Those of you who know me know this is one of my favorite poems, and it can be found on stones in cemeteries all across the eastern United States. Remember me as you pass by. As you are now, so once was I. As I am now, so shalt thou be. Prepare for death and follow me. There's actually a second verse, and if you're interested in it, you'll have to come to the Evergreen Cemetery and check out the second verse. Another thing I'd like to mention, if you look at historic photographs of this stone, you'll notice that there was a cast iron greyhound dog placed here in front of the stone. And it was there for many, many years. It was stolen from our cemetery years and years ago. But according to local legend, James Gettys was a great collector of dogs. And in 1806, when the town became an incorporated borough, he kind of lost control of the town, because before that, he was the owner of the town and collected, the ground rents until it became the county seat, and managed the affairs in the town. But now there was a town council, and one of the first things they did was they taxed dogs. And Gettys, who had a large amount of dogs, was very upset. So he had a collar made for his dogs. And apparently, the collar was on this cast iron greyhound dog while it was in the cemetery. And the collar said, "Hello, I am James Gettys' dog. Whose dog are you?"